Walking alone builds a strength that cannot be borrowed and cannot be faked. When you are by yourself, there is no applause to energize you and no criticism to distract you. There is only your character, your discipline, and your choices. In those quiet moments, you discover who you truly are. You learn whether you will move forward without encouragement or wait for someone to push you. Many people feel powerful in a crowd, but few develop power in isolation. Walking alone forces you to face your weaknesses without excuses. It reveals your habits, your fears, and your hidden potential. At first, solitude feels heavy. It can feel like rejection or abandonment. But if you stay steady, that same solitude becomes a training ground. You begin to think clearly because there is no noise. You begin to act intentionally because there is no one to impress. Every step taken alone becomes a brick in the foundation of resilience. You learn to solve problems without constant advice. You learn to trust your judgment. You learn to stand firm even when doubt whispers in your ear. That kind of strength does not depend on circumstances. It grows from repeated decisions to keep going, even when no one is watching. Over time, the person who once feared being alone becomes confident in it. You stop chasing validation and start building value. You stop looking for approval and start focusing on growth. Walking alone does not mean you reject others. It means you are not controlled by their presence or absence. It means you can lead yourself before leading anyone else. It means your motivation is internal, not external. When challenges come, you do not panic because you have already fought silent battles within yourself. When pressure increases, you do not collapse because you have practiced endurance in hidden places. The world often celebrates visible victories, but the real transformation happens in private. And when the day comes that others finally notice your strength, they will not see the countless quiet moments that shaped you, but you will know. You will remember the long nights, the disciplined mornings, the hard decisions made without support. That is why your confidence will not be prideful. It will be grounded. Because you understand that walking alone was never about isolation. It was about construction. It was about becoming unshakable from the inside out. Rejection often feels personal, but many times it is preparation in disguise. When a door closes in your face, the first reaction is confusion. You question your worth, your effort, and your direction. You wonder why others were accepted while you were left outside. But rejection has a way of redirecting you toward places that match your growth. It removes you from environments where you would have settled. It challenges you to develop skills you would have ignored if everything had come easily. In those moments, it does not feel like a gift. It feels like loss. It feels like delay. Yet delay can create depth. When you are not immediately chosen, you are forced to refine yourself. You begin to ask harder questions. You examine your mindset. You strengthen areas that once were weak. Instead of being handed a position, you build capacity. Instead of relying on opportunity, you create readiness. Rejection exposes motives. It teaches you whether you were chasing approval or pursuing purpose. When people walk away, you learn not to anchor your identity in their opinions. When plans collapse, you learn flexibility. The sting of being overlooked can either shrink you or sharpen you. If you choose growth, it becomes fuel. You stop begging for seats at tables that were never designed for you. You stop knocking on doors that were meant to stay closed. And slowly, your focus shifts from proving others wrong to improving yourself. Rejection also builds emotional endurance. You realize that disappointment does not destroy you. It stretches you. It strengthens your tolerance for discomfort. It teaches patience. You discover that silence after effort is not the end of the story. Sometimes it is the space where character is tested. You begin to trust that what passes you by was not aligned with your path. That trust reduces bitterness. It replaces resentment with resilience. Over time, you notice something powerful. The places that rejected you were too small for the version of you that emerged. The discipline, humility, and clarity you gained would not have developed if everything had gone your way. Preparation rarely feels comfortable. It requires pruning, refining, and waiting. But when the right opportunity appears, you step into it with maturity instead of desperation. You carry confidence without arrogance because you understand the process that shaped you. Rejection did not define you. It developed you. And what once felt like a closed chapter becomes evidence that you were being guided towards something greater, even when you could not see it. Silence can feel uncomfortable, especially in a world that constantly rewards noise. When everything around you is loud, active, and demanding attention, a quiet season can make you question your progress. You may feel unnoticed, uncelebrated, or even forgotten. But silence is not emptiness. It is space. It is the environment where deep transformation begins. When there is no applause and no criticism, you are left alone with your thoughts. That can be unsettling at first. You begin to hear doubts you once ignored. You recognize habits that need correction. You see patterns that require change. Yet this awareness is not meant to discourage you. It is meant to awaken you. In silence, distractions lose their grip. Comparison fades because there is no audience to compete with. You stop performing and start becoming. Growth that happens in noise can be shallow because it often focuses on appearance. Growth that happens in silence is rooted because it focuses on substance. During quiet seasons, you learn patience. You learn that progress does not always announce itself. Some of the most important shifts happen internally before they ever show externally. Your mindset strengthens, your discipline becomes consistent, your faith matures. Silence trains you to act without recognition. It teaches you to value integrity over image. When no one is watching, your real character is revealed. This is where transformation becomes authentic. It is easy to appear strong when people are observing. It is powerful to remain committed when no one is there to affirm you. Silence also sharpens clarity. Without constant opinions, you begin to understand your own voice. You become more decisive. You grow comfortable making choices based on conviction rather than pressure. That clarity builds confidence, and confidence formed in silence does not crumble under criticism because it was not built on praise. Over time, you start to appreciate the quiet. You realize it gave you room to heal, to reflect, and to rebuild. It allowed you to strengthen areas of your life that would have remained weak if you had been constantly distracted. When the season of visibility returns, you will not feel overwhelmed by attention. You will carry steadiness because you were shaped in stillness. Silence was not a pause in your journey. It was the workshop where your foundation was reinforced. It was the season where unseen growth prepared you for visible impact, and what was built in that quiet space will remain long after the noise fades. Discipline is what separates those who feel called from those who stay comfortable. It is easy to speak about vision and purpose when motivation is high. It is much harder to act consistently when excitement fades. Discipline begins where emotion ends. It is the decision to continue when you no longer feel inspired. Many people desire growth, but few commit to the daily structure required to achieve it. Discipline demands routine. It asks you to wake up when you would rather sleep, to practice when you would rather postpone, and to focus when distractions are calling your name. It is not glamorous. It is repetitive and often unnoticed. Yet it is in repetition that strength is formed. Small actions, performed consistently, shape long-term results. When you choose discipline, you accept temporary discomfort for lasting development. You delay immediate pleasure for meaningful progress. This choice builds self-respect because you prove to yourself that your word matters. When you promise effort and follow through, confidence grows naturally. Discipline also protects you from drifting. Without structure, time slips away and opportunities are missed. With structure, your energy is directed with intention. You become less reactive and more deliberate. Instead of waiting for the right mood, you create momentum through habit. Over time, habits become part of your identity. You are no longer someone who tries occasionally. You are someone who shows up daily. That consistency sets you apart quietly, but powerfully. Discipline strengthens your mind. It teaches you to manage impulses and control reactions. When challenges arise, you are not easily shaken because you are used to pushing beyond comfort. You understand that feelings change, but commitment remains. This maturity allows you to endure difficult seasons without losing direction. While others may stop when progress slows, you continue because your foundation is built on routine rather than excitement. The world often notices talent, but it is discipline that sustains it. Skill can open a door, but discipline keeps it open. As time passes, the gap between the disciplined and the distracted becomes visible. Results accumulate. Growth becomes evident, and what once felt like sacrifice reveals itself as strength. You realize that discipline was never about restriction. It was about freedom. Freedom from inconsistency, from regret, and from wasted potential. By choosing discipline over comfort, you do not just chase a goal. You become the kind of person capable of reaching it and sustaining it with integrity. Pain is often misunderstood as punishment, but in many seasons it functions more like a refining fire. When discomfort enters your life, your first instinct may be to escape it. You may question why it happened and what you did to deserve it. Yet pain has a way of exposing what comfort hides. It reveals attachments, weaknesses, and assumptions that need to be addressed. Just as fire removes impurities from metal, difficult experiences remove illusions from your thinking. They strip away pride, impatience, and unrealistic expectations. This process is not pleasant, but it is purposeful. When everything feels easy, growth can become shallow. When you are tested, your endurance expands. You discover how much pressure you can handle. You learn to respond instead of react. Pain also forces reflection. It slows you down long enough to examine your direction. Sometimes it corrects your path. Other times it deepens your understanding. Instead of breaking you, it builds emotional capacity. You begin to develop empathy because you understand struggle firsthand. You become more compassionate toward others who are fighting silent battles. Refinement does not mean destruction, it means transformation. The version of you that enters the fire is not the same version that emerges. Through hardship, your values become clearer. You stop chasing temporary validation and start prioritizing what truly matters. Your resilience strengthens because you realize that you can survive more than you once believed. Each challenge faced with patience becomes evidence of growth. Over time, pain teaches you stability. You stop panicking when circumstances shift because you have already endured storms. You understand that discomfort is temporary, but character is lasting. Instead of asking why the fire exists, you begin to ask what it is shaping within you. This shift in perspective changes everything. You no longer see hardship as a sign of failure. You see it as preparation. The scars left behind are not symbols of defeat. They are reminders of endurance. They tell a story of perseverance and maturity. When the refining process is complete, you carry strength that cannot be easily shaken. You become less reactive, more grounded, and more focused. The fire did not consume you, it clarified you, and the clarity gained through pain becomes a guiding force in every future challenge you face. Obedience in private builds a strength that public recognition can never create. When no one is watching, your choices reveal your true priorities. It is easy to act with integrity when there is an audience. It is much more powerful to remain consistent when your effort goes unseen. Private obedience is about honoring your values without external pressure. It means doing what is right even when there is no immediate reward. In those quiet decisions, character is formed. Each time you choose discipline over distraction, honesty over convenience, and patience over impulse, you reinforce your foundation. These small, unseen acts accumulate. They shape your mindset and influence your habits. Over time, they create stability within you. Public authority, whether in leadership, influence, or responsibility, requires inner alignment. Without that alignment, success becomes fragile. But when your private life reflects your principles, confidence grows naturally. You are not performing, you are simply expressing what you have practiced in secret. Obedience in private also sharpens self-control. It teaches you to manage your emotions and direct your energy wisely. Instead of reacting to every situation, you respond with intention. This steadiness becomes visible in public settings. People may see your calmness or your clarity, but they do not see the countless private moments where you chose growth over ease. Those moments matter. They prepare you for greater responsibility. When challenges arise in visible spaces, you are not overwhelmed because you have already strengthened your character in hidden ones. Private obedience builds trust within yourself. You know that you can rely on your own decisions because you have consistently practiced integrity. That trust eliminates fear of exposure because there is nothing to hide. It removes the need to exaggerate or impress. You become comfortable with steady progress rather than dramatic displays. Over time, opportunities increase, responsibility expands, influence grows, yet the foundation remains the same. The habits formed in quiet seasons continue to guide you. You understand that true authority is not granted by applause. It is earned through consistency. By honoring your principles in private, you create a life that can withstand pressure in public. And when recognition finally comes, it feels natural, not overwhelming, because it simply reflects the work you have already done in silence. Faith grows strongest when no one is watching. It is easy to express confidence when circumstances are favorable and support is visible. It is much harder to maintain belief when results are delayed and encouragement is absent. In those quiet stretches, your faith is tested at its core. You are faced with a choice: rely on what you see or remain committed to what you know within. When external signs are limited, internal conviction must expand. This is where real growth begins. You learn to trust the process even when progress is not obvious. You learn to stand firm without constant reassurance. That kind of faith is not loud or dramatic. It is steady and patient. It continues taking small steps forward, even when doubt tries to interfere. Over time, this consistency strengthens your mindset. You become less dependent on approval and more anchored in purpose. Faith practiced in private reshapes your perspective. Instead of reacting to every delay as failure, you begin to interpret it as development. Instead of assuming that silence means absence, you understand it may signal preparation. This shift reduces anxiety and builds resilience. You stop measuring your journey against others because you realize growth happens at different speeds. Quiet faith also builds endurance. When no one applauds your effort, you discover whether your commitment is genuine. Each day you choose to continue. Even without recognition, you reinforce your belief. That reinforcement becomes part of your identity. You are no longer someone who believes only when it is convenient. You are someone who believes through uncertainty. That maturity creates stability in challenging seasons. When obstacles appear, you do not collapse immediately because your confidence is not rooted in temporary outcomes. It is rooted in a deeper understanding that progress can exist beneath the surface. Just as roots grow unseen before a tree rises above ground, faith strengthens invisibly before results become visible. Eventually, the evidence of your patience appears. Opportunities align, breakthroughs happen. Yet the most important transformation has already taken place within you. You have developed perseverance, clarity, and inner calm. You have learned to move forward without constant validation, and that quiet strength carries into every area of your life. Faith that matures in hidden places becomes unshakable when tested in public. It does not depend on spectators, it depends on conviction, and conviction formed in silence becomes a lasting source of direction and confidence. Victory achieved alone carries a different weight and meaning. When you reach a goal without constant support, without loud encouragement, and without visible assistance, the accomplishment feels deeply personal. Every obstacle you overcame is still fresh in your memory. You remember the doubts that tried to slow you down. You remember the moments when quitting seemed reasonable, yet you continued. That continuation is what gives the victory its depth. It was not handed to you through convenience. It was built step by step through persistence. When no one was checking on your progress, you still showed up. When results were delayed, you still practiced patience. That private consistency becomes part of the success itself. It shapes how you carry it. Instead of arrogance, there is gratitude. Instead of pride, there is perspective. You understand the cost of the achievement because you paid it quietly. Achieving alone also strengthens your self-trust. You learn that you are capable of navigating uncertainty without constant direction. You become familiar with your own resilience. This familiarity builds confidence that does not depend on praise. When others finally notice your accomplishment, their recognition feels secondary. The real reward was discovering your strength during the journey. You proved to yourself that you could endure discomfort and still move forward. That proof becomes a foundation for future challenges. It reminds you that isolation does not equal incapability. In fact, it often reveals untapped potential. Victory achieved alone also teaches humility. You realize how many unseen factors aligned to support your effort. You recognize the lessons learned through failure and delay. This awareness keeps you grounded. It prevents success from distorting your character. Instead of forgetting the struggle, you honor it. Instead of dismissing the quiet season, you respect it. Over time, this balanced perspective becomes part of your leadership. You encourage others not just with results, but with understanding. You know what it feels like to fight battles that no one else sees. That empathy allows you to support others authentically. The weight of a solitary victory is not just about achievement. It is about transformation. It is about who you became in the process, and that inner growth remains long after the celebration fades.